Now, the World Fair Trade Month is an opportunity for consumers to reflect on how products reach their markets. This is an opportunity to take action by supporting those brands that hold environmental and social good above profits. Let's have a discussion about this with Sandra Ndlovu, who's the Regional Communications Officer at Fairtrade International, and Lorna Pretorius, who's a spokesperson of Silvertree Brands. Thank you so much to both of you for making time. And we'll start with you, Lorna. Yes. So when we talk about the World Fair Trade Month, what is it all about? So
fair trade is about providing fair wages for workers. And I actually think that maybe this is something that would be better explained by Sandra. So could we perhaps chat to her and get her to explain fair trade?
No, sure, absolutely. Sandra, from your perspective, yes, when we talk about this month, what's supposed to be the focus?
So fair trade is really about changing the way that trade works. And this includes better deals for farmers and workers, fairer prices, etc. So for the month of for the Fair Trade Month, what we want to do is we want to encourage consumers to be more intentional about what they buy, their purchasing power, etc.
And are we seeing that, would you say, Lorna, where consumers are more intentional and they give thought to the products that they purchase and the value chain up to when the products are on the shelves?
Absolutely. So I represent Faithful to Nature, and we are an online retailer of natural and sustainable products. And essentially we choose our products according to 3 criteria. The first is health, so the health of the person consuming it. The second is social impact. So, you know, the communities that make the products, how they're paid, etc. And the third is environment. And what we found over the last 17 years of operation is that customers really care about these things. They care about, you know, whether a product is natural or not. They care about whether it's sustainable, and they care about how it's made and the workers that make it.
So, Sandra, for, you know, customers who say, okay, I care about the environment too, how do I make sure that the products that I purchase, in fact, are products, the fair trade products, and even the way that they were manufactured, the people who've worked at the factories themselves have also been treated well? How do I make sure of that as when I buy these products?
Yes. So first I would say look for the fair trade mark. Once you see the fair trade mark, what we are saying is that these products have been sustainably produced and sourced, and it can be traced all the way back to ground level, from when you start growing it to processing it to packaging it to the shelves in the stores. But I think that our consumers need to ask questions and not just buy. A lot of the times we find that just because I'm used to a brand, I keep going to the brand. But we've also discovered that a lot of the brands, it's come out that there's been child labor or unfair treatment of workers. So as consumers, we need to learn to ask the right questions and ask more questions.
Yeah. Is it more the younger generations, would you say, Lorna, that's asking those questions? I saw a recent consumer report by McKinsey revealing that about 66% of global consumers consider sustainability when making purchases decisions, and 55% are willing to pay more for sustainable products. Is it more the younger generations that's more...
Correct.
Yeah.
And so what
Okay, you can
Sandra.
go first, Lorna, and then we'll come back to you, Sandra.
Sorry, Sandra. So what we saw about that report, which is really interesting, is that actually it was across the board. So it was customers of all ages actually expressed an interest in more sustainable products and were willing to pay for it. However, it was slightly skewed towards younger customers. You know, you might want to call them Generation Z. But it was surprising, I think, that, you know, that behavior was not just with younger customers, but actually older customers as well. Definitely the trend is stronger with younger customers, but it's definitely growing as we create awareness. And to Sandra's point, it's, you know, customers are starting to ask questions, and it's up to retailers like Faithful to Nature to provide the transparency that customers are looking for. And that's actually one of the things that we do on our website. We provide radical transparency about every single ingredient, including composite ingredients, how they were sourced, where it comes from, how the workers were treated. And we actually have a product technologist internally that investigates all of that, so our customers can trust that the products that are on the site have met those criteria.
Yeah. And Sandra, what is the responsibility of the businesses themselves who are selling these products, so that it's not only dependent on Clement as the consumer to ask for information, but there's a level of transparency coming from these businesses as well, so that I can make an informed decision when I purchase these products?
Yes, so Clement, there are a lot of businesses who are actually more intentional about what they sell, what they put on their shelves. So Faithful to Nature is one such example. We also have Been There Coffee, we've got Woolworths, we've got Cyber Sellers. So there's a lot of businesses out there that are actually much more intentional about what they are doing. So what we really need is for more businesses to jump on that bandwagon. It is not just a trend. I think that it's really a way that business in Africa has changed. Before, we used to be just a producing nation. Africa was seen as just producing nation, but now we are a consuming nation. And I think this has a lot to do with our young people who are much more explorative than the older generation. And under older, I put myself in there. So our young people want to try new things all the time. And that is why we are now intentional about not just buying for the sake of buying, but asking the questions and saying, where does this come from? In terms of the climate change that we've experienced locally in South Africa, especially when it comes to the water crisis, people are much more aware about what it is that they consume, what it is that they put on their bodies, etc. So I think that for businesses, it is literally just to become aware, or more, they are aware. I think it's more about saying this is where we are taking this as well, and not just staying on the sideline.
Yeah. Lorna, for some people who are possibly watching us and thinking, well, it's good, I suppose, to purchase these products and understand the value chain and whether or not there has been environmental considerations when the products were being manufactured. But then in the bigger scheme of things, what impact is there? What would you say to the viewers who want to understand, if I'm going to be intentional about what I buy and how it was manufactured, what's the bigger benefit?
So I think it's so interesting that people think that they are powerless, because actually, as a consumer, you hold the power. Because every business out there is trying to get the money that you're spending on the products that you need. And if you can make, if businesses can start to meet the needs that consumers have, and consumers are telling us that they want more sustainable products, they want those kind of things. And so I think a good business is going to listen to those consumers. And I certainly don't think that people are powerless. I think there's immense impact in consumers exercising their voting rights, i.e. the money that they spend on products, and voting for more sustainable products, products that are sourced by paying fair wages to workers in the case of fair trade certification. So there's, remember, these products don't just land up in your shopping basket, on a supermarket shelf. They were made by humans. And fair trade certification ensures that those humans are able to earn a living wage as well. So the potential impact of customers voting with their wallets is huge in terms of, passing that along down the value chain and ensuring that everybody in the process is paid a fair living wage.
And Sandra, do you have the support of the other stakeholders like government? Because it's all good and well to have the fair trade movement. It's great to have, consumers who are more thoughtful about the products they purchase, but it would also help to have government on your side to put pressure on the businesses to be more intentional about also sourcing products where there's been proper consideration around the environment, around the wages that people are paid who are manufacturing them. Do you have that support?
Yes, we are very fortunate in that we do work alongside a lot of the government bodies. We work with the Department of Agriculture, Department of Labor, CCMA, etc. Because for us, it's not just about the job, it's about the person. We always say it's not about certification, it's about people. And I just wanted to add to what Lorna was saying about the buying power, is that with Fairtrade Africa, we have what we call a premium that is paid over and above the cost of, say, bag of coffee, for example, and that goes directly to the workers. So they establish a body on the farms. They have to register a legal entity. That premium gets paid directly to them, and then they have to decide on what needs they have amongst them as a community, and then that money goes towards that. So some of them have bursary funds. Some of them, they build creches, etc. So it's very practical how the consumers can help the workers out there.
Lorna, do you think there must be incentives, and are there even for either consumers or businesses to say to a business, if you are going to source products in this manner, in your entire value chain, this is the kind of incentive? Do you think that would help, whether it's a tax incentive, and maybe even for the consumers themselves, that when you buy products that you have thought through and you've looked at whether or not the people were paid well, whether or not there are climate considerations around how they were manufactured, then here's an incentive we give you?
Look, it would be amazing if government could waive VAT on more sustainably sourced products. But, you know, like, I do think that incentives help. But ultimately, I think it's also the altruistic aspect of, you know, I think as consumers are becoming more educated and understanding more, and, you know, Sandra mentioned the point earlier about customers asking questions and educating themselves. And I think as we're seeing that, that is actually becoming an incentive for consumers to seek out these types of products, is really a broader understanding. So obviously financial incentives could help. And, you know, at the end of the day, especially in the current South African climate, value is very important to customers, and we at Faithful to Nature are trying hard to make sure that we're able to offer these more sustainable products at good value. But I also think that, you know, just the actual production process and the education around how products do arrive and, you know, in the supermarket is becoming more of an incentive to customers, and it's not just the financial aspect.
All right. Lorna Pretorius and Sandra Ndlovu, thank you so much to both of you for making time for us.